dim as you get closer and walk away. So the efficient management of our power grids, right? Ensuring that we're not wasting too much of our supply of resources. So that brings me to the end of the IoT segment. We're going to take a quick glimpse at blockchain. I'll try to not make this too convoluted, but blockchain ultimately is based on a ledger system. If you've studied accounts or if you're into perhaps auditing, then you know what a ledger is. With blockchain, we have the ability to leverage the digital entity of distributed ledger technology. And by distributed, I mean that there's a network of nodes, and by nodes, your devices, your computers, anything that you communicate online with can be considered a node. And this ultimately contributes to blockchain. If you're involving yourself, contributes to blockchain as being part of the distributed ledger technology. Blockchain would have gained prominence as the foundation of many cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it ultimately offers a very decentralized and secure way for us to record and verify any transaction that we share on a network across a network of computers. Right? Now, I'm going to put my cybersecurity hat on and highlight one of the main areas of information security, and that is the CIA triad. And what I mean by CIA is the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of data and information. For information systems to be efficient and effective, we need to ensure that these three areas are covered. And with blockchain, we have the ability to do such. Before I go on further, I want to highlight another area of cyber, being the zero trust mechanism. What this ultimately means is that as we're integrating ourselves into digital scenarios using devices much more, we need to ensure that the identity service that we're using is not going to allow us to be hacked, is not going to allow us or provide vulnerabilities that will be a detriment to how we utilize the technology. With the zero trust, everything must be verified. The idea is that we as humans, we will share trust. But with devices, we can use data to ensure that there is minimal believe in me, right? Minimal trust me. You have the data that says yes or no based on a ledger, a distributed ledger. So with the zero trust mechanism, which is heavily embedded in blockchain, the components, again, distributed ledger technology, blocks and transactions. We also have cryptography, which is the art of secrets in our digital realm, the art of ensuring that our secrets are kept safe. Decentralization, being that no one central entity has full control over these assets, but that we, each one of us and our devices, can contribute to a network, can contribute to how we communicate, to how we transact. There are consensus mechanisms, one of them being proof of work. How much work has your device actually contributed to the network? Some of us would be familiar with data mining. So these are proofs of consensus that indicate that, let's say, a custom-built desktop PC is able to contribute, is able to show that they would have mined or assisted with a transaction. Immutability being that the information that is shared on these networks cannot be altered, cannot be manually changed, therefore allowing for systems such as auditing. There's also transparency, and there's also the smart contract as well. We have public and private blockchains. If you think about gated communities versus public areas, very similar concept. in that in a gated community, you're going to have very set specific expectations, interactions, a very set specific ecosystem. In a public one, not so much, but the opportunity is that it's catered to a larger demographic. Both of them have their advantages. And then, of course, in the ecosystem is currencies, cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then, of course, the smart contract that allows us to transact. So ultimately, what is actually happening under the hood with blockchain technology? First of all, a user will request a transaction, and then the transaction is broadcasted in the network. The network itself is peer-to-peer, decentralized peer-to-peer, and the network of nodes ultimately will use an algorithm that will assist to validate the transaction and each user's status in the transaction. Once that is done, a verified transaction can then involve cryptocurrency contracts, records, and other information. And it is combined with other transactions once verified, ultimately to create a new block, an immutable record that cannot be altered, cannot be changed by any third party. This new block is then added to the existing chain, and from there, the transaction is verified and executable. The difference between the decentralized and centralized approach to transaction mechanisms, we're going to use Bob and Alice as our example. Bob will send money to Alice through a banking system. In this case, the bank will take full custody, will hold on to the funds, and initiate the transfer and verification process, at which, once all the boxes are ticked, Alice will receive the money. In this case, this centralized entity is a single point of failure. Coming back to cybersecurity, we need to minimize single points of failure. And this is where the decentralized ecosystem of blockchain, of networks and nodes contributes. Underneath, we have an example using the actual ecosystem where Bob will send money to Alice through blockchain. The blockchain will then transfer the funds between accounts without a single one in particular entity maintaining control, maintaining custody. Therefore, the networks actually validate this process, eliminating the single point of failure. Once that is verified, Alice will then receive her funds. What about insurance policies? How can blockchain contribute to insurance policies? Let's say we have a predefined contract put together by one of our service providers, agreed on by all parties involved. With the digital contract, the smart contract, what you're able to do is that they're very much hard-coded and then cannot be changed without all parties, all personnel involved knowing of any said changes. With insurance, unfortunately, a negative event has to happen before things move on. So let's say your house is damaged in a fire or a flood. This will then trigger the policy. Perhaps the insurance company collects this information. Maybe they have, maybe you guys have sensors that communicate information that there was a fire, that there's some type of flooding. And once that is proven in real life by visual proof, the insurance will then initiate a transfer of funds based on the contract that you guys would have agreed on. And from there, you will receive a settlement or a payout. This is the advantage of using blockchain infrastructure. The policies cannot be altered. They're immutable. They cannot be changed. And with that, you do not have to worry about issues down the line. Now, I would have spent some time with some NFT art as a creative. I'm sure many of you have seen the advent of NFTs over the course of 2020 to about 2022. And it's some of us love it, some of us hate it, but ultimately, it has been proven that there is the ability to transact using these non-fungible tokens. What is a non-fungible token? Basically, it is an authenticated digital certificate that we can use to verify transactions, communication between devices, and to have an ecosystem that is decentralized, that caters to each one of us as an individual through our devices. Let's take a glimpse at some of the further opportunities to our small island developing states. Improve financial services, ensuring that the auditing process using a distributed ledger is much more efficient. We have supply chain management, we have sustainable tourism, public services and identity management. This in particular, I find very interesting. Perhaps we can look at applying blockchain to our ID cards. An issue that we're currently facing is, what is the security attached to these ID cards? My solution would be that we can utilize blockchain, you can utilize tokenization, we can utilize a much more secure infrastructure to contribute to a safer environment of public services and our identity management. Blockchain-based voting, again, because records are not easily changed, they're immutable, means that fraud cannot happen as much. Persons cannot trick the system into how we utilize our democratic infrastructure. An example of a company that is doing some fine work in the blockchain arena is CaribCoin. And ultimately what they're doing is to connect our nations, connect us as people, but then also the services that we share, connect our digital entities, and ensure that cross-border trade, the ability to transact, the ability to conduct business between countries is possible. I want to nod to Gabriel Abed and his team for this initiative. There's also the application in government and public services. We mentioned about smart cities. You're going to see a lot of that as you get more involved into technology. Central bank digital currencies that allow for disenfranchised nations to be able to transact, to be able to still leverage a lifestyle that benefits them. There is government procurement that we can utilize blockchain for. Digital identity management, ensuring that the token that is attached to, the non-fungible token that is attached to your digital certificate cannot be altered, therefore your identity attached to it cannot be altered. We also have the opportunity to use blockchain with land registries, as well as validation of qualifications, certifications. If we're looking at education, again, you cannot falsify your educational records if you utilize your blockchain infrastructure. Most recently, just continuing on with the blockchain, there's a social element, and with XR Lab, we spend a lot of time with this social element. Now, First Caribbean would have most recently launched their first Realms metaverse, which we at XR Lab partnered with them to build and design. And in this space, if you think of MySpace, if you think of High Five, if you think of where Meta is actually aiming to go, is that we are leveraging more of the virtual environments, the 3D environments to share, to communicate. I'm sure some of us know that a picture's worth 1,000 words. What if you have animations on your web page, but in a 3-dimensional aspect? What if you're engaging with these web pages or web resources in virtual reality? And this is ultimately where metaverse is leaning. The social ability for us to integrate and engage using these environments and using these tools, using artificial intelligence to communicate with us about who is the best soca artist in Barbados or in the region, Alison versus Machel. But with all of these wonderful tools, reiterating the theme about fire, what is given to us to give us warmth, safety, security, can also be a detriment, can also be destructive, based on the mindset of the persons that have access to these tools. So with that, there are a few ethical considerations: bias and fairness. How do we ensure that any data, any analytics that we run on a demographic is not biased to one type of person or persons? Privacy of information. If we're dealing with data, we need to ensure that our personally identifiable information, our PII, is safe, is private to those who are not privy or who are not authenticated and authorized to know this information. There must be more transparency in the use of AI as well. There's a theme of accountability, but as we see, if we tie in AI with blockchain, accountability is taken care of, as that will be on a digital distributed ledger. Safety and security, job placement is a very important area. Again, with a lot of these technologies, many of us are worried about losing our job picks, our placements, our careers. But in reality, this is all augmented, right? This is all augmentative in that it's a complement to how we conduct work, it's a complement to how we live, how we interact, rather than a replacement. So as long as we consider that robots will not replace us because we are the masters of these tools, job displacement should not be an issue. If there are worries about not being skilled, you can do a Coursera course on Python programming. You can do many educational programs to help prepare you as the young generation coming up, to help prepare you for the new types of requirements that many of these jobs will hold. One case that I want to highlight with ethics, Clearview AI is a facial recognition software that, in this case, would have wrongfully indicated that a gentleman from New Jersey had committed a crime, and I do believe he was held for about 10 days, and it was then found out after the fact that he was very much innocent. But for those 10 days, being accused for something you had not done through technology, this is a very serious implication. And I want to reiterate again, we as human beings, we are the masters of this technology rather than the technology dictating what we do on a day-to-day basis. So in this case, this gentleman could have avoided being put in a cell for 10 days if the right judicial authorities had looked at his case properly, to ensure that he was the right person. So we ultimately cannot let the technology rule us, because that will cause a series of problems in our futures. Use it as a tool, augment to your workforce, ensure that persons are trained in how to use this technology so that there are no cases like our friend in New Jersey. What about the ethics of the Internet of Things? Everything connected. That sounds great, but then there's also the implications of all of our data being available to threat actors. So we need to ensure that more persons, especially in information security, are active, are trained, allowing for privacy and data security, allowing for more transparency. Data ownership as well. This is a very important aspect because we are and can be more creators of these digital solutions, of software, of applications, as opposed to just using what was given to us by external authorities. There's also the environmental impact of placing sensors all around. So we have to consider that we're not being destructive to our environments, to our living spaces, to our residential and commercial areas. But then also, with more devices being interconnected, there is the aspect of insecure components. A lot of smart devices are not designed based on similar policies or similar regulation. Therefore, those variances will open up vulnerabilities to persons that are using these tools, open up exploits that threat actors can manipulate. So, for instance, if insufficient logging mechanisms, I can see that with blockchain and IoT, if you connect the two of those, you'll be able to deal or manage the issue of logging what's happening with your devices. What about patch management? That's another area that affects a lot of smart devices. They don't all update very similar, so we need to ensure that they are secure over time. With the use of machine learning and AI, perhaps we can automate the process of our patches to our devices, to our Fitbits. Next up, we have the ethical considerations of blockchain, which we need to highlight more transparency and trust. And by this, when I say trust, I mean zero trust, as the infrastructure allows for data and the devices to communicate the trust mechanism, rather than me just saying believe in me or trust in me, the devices will verify. We also have the aspect of privacy, security, and consent of information on our blockchains. There is the sustainability and smart contract aspect as well. We need to ensure that they're not being utilized in a negative manner, because there are some loopholes with blockchain as a new technology. We need to ensure that there is much more regulation of these tools, much more regulation and legislation in how we utilize them safely and securely. And then, of course, digital ownership and rights. All right, so we're soon wrapping up. With blockchain, we have a few realms that have further implications. For instance, I can think about the cryptocurrency realm that, yes, does allow us for digital cash and payments, being able to do cross-border transactions. But then there's also the volatile nature of these cryptocurrencies, how often they fluctuate, the deregulation of these currencies. So we need to ensure that, again, more legislation, more regulation is being developed. And then there's also law avoidance. So threat actors, and we'll call them scammers, they may have used cryptocurrency back in the day to kind of work their way around systems, but we can ensure that it becomes much more safe, much more efficient by educating ourselves, getting into the field, and gaining some expert knowledge in how cryptocurrencies and blockchain work. So, wrapping up, just a closing note. With all of these technologies, all of these solutions, I'm sure you've kind of seen where they were interconnected, but ultimately, if we have AI, the Internet of Things, and blockchain at our fingertips, we can create smarter, much more efficient cities, safer and much more efficient living, allow for much more interconnectivity and communication, and then have better insights and analytics in our data. So to wrap up, I also want to highlight the importance of a data-driven society, a data-driven future, in contributing to our sustainable development goals. I'd hope that each of you can now maybe pick one of these 17 and consider how AI contributes to life below water, machine learning on our oceanic ecosystem. How does the IoT, the Internet of Things, contribute to sustainable cities and communities? Sensors and data on how we as humans interact with these spaces. What about blockchain and, let's say, decent work and economic growth, cross-border trade? Right? With that, I hope that each one of you has gotten a better idea on how these three areas can converge to create a much more efficient society that we all can live in, much safer, much more secure, and is able to run on data-driven insights. So I want to thank you all for spending time with me. And I want to close off with one of my most recent favorite quotes. The empires of the future are the empires of the mind. So what each of you can think of to do with this technology ultimately will communicate what each one of our futures will have, as well, each of our futures will become. So I hope that, again, you take this knowledge and you apply it to your environment, your communities. See how you can assist your neighbor with an artificial intelligence solution. So thank you very much, and that closes off my session. My name is Rayshad Salman, and I have very much enjoyed sharing with you all today.
Thank you, Mr. Selman, not only your amazing presentation, but opening up for these young people in the theaters of their minds. So up next, we'd like to invite our friends from NTI. You're thinking, what does that particular acronym mean? That's our friends coming in from the National Transformation Initiative. They're going to tell you how you can get on board, and of course, how they're assisting with Barbados' transformation agenda, what it does, and how you can access their services. Mr. Green, round of applause for our friends from the NTI.
Hello, that's better. Good afternoon, everyone. You good? So we're going to make this real snappy, and we're going to start where Rashad ended off. That quote was powerful. The empires of the future are the what? Let's say it, let me believe it. The empires of the future are the empires of the what? Of the mind. So he's talking about artificial intelligence, AI. We're going to speak a little bit about NI. Can anybody tell me what NI is? Just raise your hand and holler what NI is. Going once? No, not NTI. That's NTI is National Transformation Initiative. NI. You got AI and then you got NI. What is NI? Was it? Natural intelligence. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. And Xavier, Rashad said it. He said it, that sometimes people fear the AI because they think it's going to take over. They fear the technology because they think it's going to take over. But the AI depends on the NI. So as the AI moves forward, our what? Not NTI. I'm glad when I remember where we come from, though. But the NTI is here to make sure that your NI improves. The National Transformation Initiative is here to make sure that your natural intelligence steps up. When I got it? Give me 2 claps for that. Simple, but not necessarily easy, and I'm going to prove it to you. Please, all the left-handers, raise your hand. If you're left-handed, raise your hand. All right, we got some left-handers in the house. So am I. Big up the left-handers. We are awesome people. The rest of want to raise one hand too. Just so one don't feel left out. Right-handers in the, all right, good. Simple. Next question. All of the left nostril people, please raise your hand. Left nostrils. I see some left nostril people. All of the right nostril people, please raise your hand. I see some hands invented, so someone ain't got no nostrils at all. You ambinostrilled. Use both nostrils. All right. Bear with me, people. Do this here. Take the back of your hand, put it under your nose, and breathe, and take note of what you feel. Now I can ask the question again. All of the left nostril people, please raise your hands. All of the right nostril people, please raise your hands. I see more hands went up than went up before. Some people still ain't got no nostrils. We're not dead. We're not doing when I am breathing. But what you may have noticed is that you have one nostril that is dominant. Just like you have a dominant hand, you also have a dominant nostril. Did you know this already? Who knew this already? A handful of you who answered when I asked the question the first time knew this already. Who did not know this already? Raise your hand. So for those people who didn't know this already, the next natural question is, my natural intelligence leads me to ask you this question. How long did you have your nose? And how come you didn't know how it works? Simple answer. There are so many things that are literally right in front of our noses, right in front of our faces, that we don't understand or we don't know because we never took the time to learn, we never paid attention, we never took the time to find out. That's the bad news. The good news is you are living at a time where you have access to more information than any humans ever in the history of humankind. But you gotta step up and go towards it. So, Rashad, I agree with you. The technology is here to serve us. We are here to be masters of it, but you can only be a master of the technology if you take it upon yourself to get the training, get the education, get the knowledge. Otherwise, the technology will master you. And at the National Transformation Initiative, we are here to make sure that you become the masters of the technology, and the technology does not master you. We're supposed to clap for that. So I'm going to turn you over to our Assistant Director, Mr. Raphael Saul, who will share with you exactly how the NTI helps you become masters of the technology.
Thanks, AG. Round of applause for Mr. Adrian Green, please. If you can hear me, clap once. That was about 10 onces. If you can hear me, clap once. Fantastic. How many of you have had the unfortunate experience of having to explain to your parents how to use technology? Gosh. Is there anything conceivably more painful than having to show a parent how to send a voice note, how to use social media? What's that experience like? Give me the word. Tedious. Help me. Somebody said? All of that. Yes. All of that. So it can feel frustrating. Really, what we are experiencing is that our parents have a knowledge gap that they have not been able to successfully close. We are fortunate because many of us have grown up with a first language that our parents are trying to learn as a second or third or fourth language. Things are easy for us. They're native. But how many of you know that 5 years from now, if we don't get on the horse and improve our own skills, we can become our parents? Ouch. We can become just as disconnected, just as left behind, just as unaware. One of the most powerful statements I heard a teacher make is that education today is preparing the students for a world that does not yet exist. It is coming. It is being developed and built all around us. And if we don't equip ourselves with the knowledge and skills, we're not going to be able to effectively function in the world to come. Imagine people 5 years from now doing for you what you had to do for your parents. How frustrated will they be? And you could have closed that gap by ensuring you take hold of opportunities to improve yourself, improve your skills, sharpen your knowledge, and become aware of what is most relevant for you to be aware of right now. That is where the National Transformation Initiative comes in. We are an initiative, not an institution, really a mission with a movement to equip every Barbadian with the knowledge and skills to be a citizen of good character, competence, creativity, having the values, skills, and capacity to function effectively in a digital and ever-evolving world. How do we do that? We do that by providing opportunities for you to improve your skills and close the gaps that you might have today so you can be the best you that you can be tomorrow. And it is all for free. I was hoping for a bigger reaction there. It is all for free. Yeah. Yes. Energy in the back. How many of you know the cost of the average master's degree if you wanted to do one right now? Somebody say NAF. 54,000, throw some more figures at me. 60, depending on the course or program you want to pursue. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars for you to improve your capacity to a point where you can provide significantly more value to the world around you. All you have to do is carve out the time. And it all starts here. And everybody's phones out, please. Phones out, if you don't have them out already. Are you all connected to the internet? I sincerely hope so, because we're at the Barbados Digital Youth Forum. You're going to go to your browser and you're going to enter nti.org.bb. Sorry? nti.org.bb. That's what you're going to enter. And while you're doing that, this is our platform, which allows you access to not tens, not hundreds, but thousands of courses from universities and organizations, institutions all over the world in a mind-blowing myriad of learning areas. You really can't possibly conceive of an area you want to learn in that you won't be able to find a program to help you improve your skills in. Rashad spoke earlier about AI. He spoke about IoT. He spoke about blockchain. You'll find courses through our platform, I'll talk about on our platform, and also through our platform that give you access to closing the gap on all of these areas. Remember, our ultimate goal is that we do not become our parents and grandparents. To help you close the gap on that so that you have the skills you need to function effectively as you're going forward. nti.org.bb is your gateway. You'll find on that platform 7 indigenous courses that we've created, or 8. 8 indigenous courses that we have created in everything from beginner's sign language to personal financial management, online safety, entrepreneurship, all of which you can do. You'll also, through our website, be able to access the NTI Coursera partnership. Through this partnership, that's where you're able to access the thousands upon thousands of courses from, as I said, some of the leading universities all over the world, freely accessible to everyone in Barbados. Choose your area, choose your course, choose your program, and you'll be able to start learning. It's entirely on demand. You do it on your schedule. You do it on evenings. You do it on mornings. You do it on weekends. Entirely up to you. As I said, it's free. The deadlines are flexible, so if you have an assignment that you need to submit, how many of you would love all of your deadlines in school to be flexible? So that if you aren't able to hit your deadline, you can just quickly reset your deadline. It gives you another few weeks to complete that portion of the program before you go on to the next one. It's convenient. It is built for you to succeed. You complete an assessment and you don't like your grade, you can do your assessment over again until you like the grade that you got. It is made for you to succeed and do well. The priority that we place is on you building the skills. What are we building? The skills. I love the energy. We're building the skills that allow us to close the gap that we need to close. So, to wrap it all up, we have a quick video. On this video, you're going to see just some flashes of some courses that you'll find on the platform. Really, we couldn't possibly extract 1,000 snapshots and show them to you, but this really is just to pique your interest. You'll also quickly, at the end of that video, see what the sign-up process is like. If you're not already doing that, I suspect some of you might be. And then we're really excited to be here to support and welcome you to the NTI platform. Please, if you're on Instagram, make sure you follow us at NTI Star Bajan. That's NTI STARR Bajan. Make sure you follow us there to stay up to date with any important updates. And again, we have e-learner support as well to support if you have any questions or queries as you are learning. Thank you so much for your time. I want to invite you to turn your attention to the screen to watch this quick video.
To equip every Bajan with the knowledge and skills to be citizens of good character, confident and creative. Bajans achieving excellence, competent in a digital world. Smart Barbados, we are aiming for every man, woman, boy, and girl. Head into training.nti.org.bb. Looking to see what courses I want to study. I am a star Bajan, it's true, and I believe this about you. Yes, I mean you. So here is what we have to do. Go tell all your friends and family. Coursera free for everybody. NTI the gateway forward. So get in the transformation to make the country brand new. Start the journey today. Log on to training.nti.org.bb. Wanna hearing me? Training.nti.org.bb.
Welcome to the National Transformation Initiative's Citizenship course. Our goal is to equip every Barbadian with the knowledge, skills, and values needed to be citizens of good character and competence in a smart Barbados that is engaging with a digital world.
You click General Sign Up, and you're going to enter here your name, you're going to enter your email address, once you've entered your email address, you're going to select a password. And confirm that password. And you're going to hit submit. Now, once all of your details are correct that you've submitted into the form, you will get a confirmation that your registration was successful. There you go. Now, let's just save that password. Congratulations, you have successfully registered. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Just if you have any questions, you can let us know. If not, it's been our pleasure to serve you and provide you with this information. We do hope, as my friend right here in the front has already done, that you go ahead and you register, you sign up, start your first course. We're here to support you and encourage you, and we are proud of you closing the gap to become the best version of yourself. Any questions before we wrap up? Yes, once you sign up, we want to encourage you to look out also for our weekly newsletter. It always comes out with interesting information and featured courses that are relevant to things that are important to us today. So we want to encourage you to look out for that as well. Any questions? No? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you to the entire team from NTI. Stimulating with the NI today as well. And apologies for that presentation on the screen. Those of you who couldn't see the screen, we're going to run it through lunch so that you can have a recap. All right? And on that note, that now brings a close to our morning session. We will now go on the lunch break. Now, the following tables, please proceed to your refreshment area as follows. We're going to switch it up this time. So head table, crypto pioneers, virtual scientists, because the numbers have trimmed down at the front. You're going to pause the stream. And then followed by the IT strategists at the back. Yes. IT strategists. Next.